So there's a lot to talk about, but I'm gonna try to keep it short. So this entire week, so today's Monday, September 23rd, this entire week there are gonna be power cuts throughout Ecuador. Now, the government has basically tried to mitigate this issue as much as possible. As far as I know, we don't know what's actually true and what isn't, obviously. But checking the news sites and checking the government website, the nuts and bolts of it is there are going to be power cuts all week, all over the country, every province, and pretty much every part of every province for the most part. So like today, we're here in Salinas and Santa Elena. Power's out right now. It is 12:45 p.m. It went out at 10. It's supposed to come back on at 3, which is a pretty long cut. Most of the cuts have been shorter than that. Tomorrow it's a different time, and then the next day it's a different time. It kind of rotates. And there's a couple of days where it's twice in a day. So like from midnight to 5 a.m. and then sometime in the afternoon. And what they're trying to do is make up for a severe deficit and a really bad drought that's going on. Now, the government and the power companies throughout the country, I think it's like 8 or 9 of them, have individually put out schedules, and basically the government site compiles them. You can download the PDF that shows exactly what time your sector or zone is going to be out of power. The problem is, for maybe some expats, is you may not know exactly what your zone is or your sector, and it can be kind of confusing to look at that PDF. Some places it might be easier than others depending on the electric company and how they actually display that information. But here in Santa Elena and CNL, and if you don't know, you would never know where to look at on that PDF other than to find Salinas. It'll be kind of difficult. You'd have to look for little landmarks that might be listed. They're pretty good with, trying to distribute that information. But like I said, it can be a little confusing. The issue here is that these power cuts, especially for it being an entire week, will be disruptive and just annoying. Because right now, it's just annoying. We don't really have anything we were doing today. So it's not really that big a deal today, and it shouldn't be much of an issue for us this week. That being said, it's not going to be the same for everybody. There are people that this is really going to be inconvenient. There are businesses that can't operate like they normally would, and I really feel bad for a lot of folks around here for these power cuts. Although this is less of a government issue and more of a drought issue at this point. Like I said, I can't give you percentages like how much is government versus the environment, but there is a severe drought. From what I read, they're about 1,100 megawatts short. They would ordinarily this time of year, which is the dry season, be about 400 megawatts short, which they would normally buy from Colombia. But Colombia is also experiencing a pretty bad drought. So they're rationing their own power and they're not selling any to Ecuador. So Ecuador, I mentioned in a previous video that they leased some power barges, Turkish power barges. But those things take a while to get here, get hooked up, and ramp up power before it's actually distributed to the system. So it's a slow process. The wet season is coming up in a month or 2, maybe 2. But there's no way to know how much rain the country's actually going to get. These cuts could be temporary, or they could go throughout the wet season. It just depends on the level of the reservoirs and rain. As far as I can tell, the country's trying to do as much maintenance on the electrical system as possible, but if there's just no power to supply, then there just isn't. So what do we do? Well, you gotta just prepare it. Try to figure out where your sector is. And like I said, this is, of course, if you're in Ecuador, figure out where your sector is, when your power's gonna be out, and just try to be prepared beforehand. Like I said, we have battery backup for our Wi-Fi, but that only lasts a couple hours, and it'll die. So hopefully you have a decent internet connection with your cell service. Make sure the things that are or can be charged up are, like your cell phones and maybe a laptop or something. Make sure it's charged up beforehand. And otherwise, just do activities that don't require electricity. Hopefully, if you need to take a shower or something, you've got gas heated water, things of that nature. Go outside, take a walk, read a book, peruse the internet on your phone. as long as your internet's working. But for us, you know, like I said, it's not too inconvenient. It's just annoying. And hopefully this issue doesn't continue, you know, for the next year or so. Hopefully that the environment and nature corrects itself and starts to rain like it should, like it normally would, because this is like a historical drought that's going on. So to me personally, that means that it's definitely not permanent. We just don't know how long it's going to last. So hopefully this video helps. I'm going to leave some useful links down in the description. So if anybody wants to take a look, and if you're just curious and you want to see what these sectors are and how these PDFs look, by all means, I'll leave it in the description. So once again, you know, thanks for watching, and if there's any more pertinent updates, I'll be sure to make them another video. Thanks.